Ashley started to get out of her car in the school parking lot when she stopped. On the walkway was a woman her age who was pushing a stroller. For a moment, Ashley felt sad. 5 months ago, she was pregnant, and had the baby lived, she would have been pushing that very same stroller. She tried to shake off her sadness and made her way into the school. When the bell rang, her grade 3 students filled in, their faces beaming as they greeted her. She forgot her sorrow as their sweet voices filled her room with chatter. She was blessed to have a great bunch of kids who were ready to absorb anything she taught them. When school was out, Ashley drove home and was surprised to find her husband's car already in the driveway. "You're home early," she said as she walked into the house. "I have something for you," Matt said, giving her a mysterious smile. She laughed. "You do?" "Come with me," he said. He covered her eyes and led her into the living room. "What could—" The rest of her question cut off as Matt uncovered her eyes. She immediately saw a cardboard box on the floor. Right at the bottom of the box was a sweet little kitten. "I found her at the animal shelter," Matt said. Ashley went on her knees. "Oh, she's beautiful," she said. At the sound of Ashley's voice, the kitten went on her hind legs and rested her front paws on the edge of the box. She looked at her and let out a tiny meow. "So you want to come out of the box?" Ashley asked. She reached over and lifted the soft kitten into her arms. Matt sat next to her and began stroking the top of the kitten's head with his finger. "After all you've been through, I thought you'd like having a cat," he said. His thoughtfulness melted her heart. They had really wanted a child, and when they became pregnant, they were ecstatic. Ashley started to have babies on her brain and began buying clothes and gear. But then at 13 weeks, she had a miscarriage. The loss had hit her hard. Because Matt didn't want her to be sad, he packed all the baby items in the garage. In every way, her husband supported her, and he tried to find ways to make her happy. And today, he had brought home a kitten. She gave him a smile. "I'm going to call her Luna," she said. And so the kitten added a spark of joy in her life. Each day she went to class and told her students about her mischievous little cat, and the children laughed at Luna's antics. Whether the kitten was chasing her tail or whether she was sleeping, Ashley thought Luna was the cutest creature she had ever seen. At home, the kitten became her shadow, but it gave Ashley comfort knowing that Luna was always nearby. One day after Ashley returned home from work, the little cat wasn't at the front door waiting for her. She called for Luna, but there was no sign of the rambunctious kitten. She searched the house and eventually found her in her bedding. Ashley picked up the kitten and discovered that she was unusually warm, and she seemed even too tired to meow. She tried to entice Luna with water and food, but she wasn't interested. By the time Matt came home from work, the kitten's condition worsened. "We'll take her in to see a vet first thing in the morning," Matt told her. That night, Ashley looked for answers online, but the information she found just made her worry even more. Matt finally dragged her from the computer and suggested she went to bed. Then at 2 a.m., she suddenly woke up and decided to check on Luna. Ashley felt relieved when she saw the kitten curled up in her bedding, fast asleep. She reached over and began to stroke the soft fur. But the kitten felt oddly cold and stiff. She took a closer look and saw Luna wasn't breathing. Shock caused her to cry out loud. At the sound, Matt jumped out of bed and rushed into the living room. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Luna's dead," she said, sobbing. When Ashley lost her baby, she was sad, but she had tried to get on with her life. She knew she was still young and there were still opportunities to get pregnant. But Luna's death triggered something inside her. Maybe a higher power was telling her that she was an unfit mother. She had lost her baby in the first trimester, and now her beloved kitten was dead. "Go back to sleep, Ash," Matt said. "There's nothing we can do now." Just before dawn, they buried Luna in the backyard. Matt suggested that she take the day off work, but Ashley refused. She didn't want to stay home alone. But unfortunately, going to work was a mistake. When a student asked about Luna, Ashley lost it. Seeing their teacher crying distressed her students. A child ran to get Joan, her friend who taught in the next classroom. The principal was also called in, and he suggested that Ashley take some time off. In the end, Ashley decided to stay home for 2 weeks. She recognized that she was in no condition to teach. The crying spells overwhelmed her at random times. She didn't know if she could ever go back to teaching. Matt tried his best to comfort her, but she just wanted to be left alone. After another bout of crying, Matt took her in his arms. "Ash, I know you're sad about the loss, but I am too," he said. "For all it's worth, I just want to be with you. It doesn't matter whether or not we have children or pets. I just need you." His words penetrated her mind and caused her to become still. In her anguish, she was so focused on herself that she had forgotten Matt was grieving too. She understood at that moment that she needed to make a decision. In order for her to move past her loss, she had to stop feeling sorry for herself, and she needed to start living again. The next day, she called the school and told them that she would return earlier than expected. The children were happy to see her, and she felt glad to be back. As she fell back into her routine, she began to feel more like herself again. A couple of days went by, and she arrived to find her students already in the classroom with Joan. "What's going on?" Ashley asked. "We have a surprise for you," one of the kids said. "Come look," Joan said, beckoning to her. When Ashley approached the table, Joan lifted a cloth that covered a small box. "A kitten," Ashley gasped. "We saw you were sad when Luna died," the kid said. "We got you a new kitten so you could be happy again." Tears flooded Ashley's eyes. "What makes me happy is having you guys in my life," she said. She put out her arms and the kids hugged her. While Ashley didn't have any children of her own, she knew that her students loved her with all their hearts, and she wholeheartedly loved them in return. What did you guys think of the story? Please comment in the comment section below. I can't wait to read your answers and discussions. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to get the latest stories to warm your heart. Until next time, bye!